Back around about April of 2016 is when I started the Self-Publishing with Dale channel over on YouTube. It has since grown to be a much larger brand and all focused around self-publishing, but a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that this is just Dale running these things. I know I'm speaking in the third person and it seems awful douchey, but just stick with me on this one here. Self-Publishing with Dale is not just me. Sure, it started out that way, but I would say within about a year of me launching my channel, I started working with a virtual assistant, and her name is Ava Fails. You fast forward some time later, and she's now my full-on content manager. She's managing things like my social media, my email, so much that has to do with video she's helping. She's even helping out with curating information and even editing me, because Lord knows I need that. But, I wanted to have a conversation so you guys get a peek behind the curtain of how things work with self-publishing with Dale, especially since there actually is more than one mind being put into this. So without any further ado, it's with great pleasure that I introduce to you a good friend of mine and longtime supporter of Self-Publishing with Dale, Ava Fails. So we've been, hanging out with each other for the past 6 years now, which is just absolutely amazing. A lot of people don't realize the role that you play in Self-Publishing with Dale. Share with people what you do to help me keep this brand afloat.
I do everything. Just kidding.
Everything, yes. She even puppeteers me.
So email, social media. I update the websites. There's a couple of regular pages that I update on the website, the news page, and last week I just created these are the people that I follow and this is their content that I think you should be looking at page. So, yeah. Because we had to adjust the social media strategy, which happens. I mean, social media changes all the time, so you kind of have to adjust and be resilient where that's concerned. So we just updated your social media strategy, and aside from that, I do YouTube comments, a little light editing here and there. Goodness, what else? Here's my to-do list. Back cover book projects still on here. I gotta get that nailed down this week.
Oh yeah, hopefully by the time this launches, this will be live, the back book cover project.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot of things that you're responsible for here with the Self-Publishing with Dale brand. What was your experience prior to doing things with me? Because I know that you said at some point or another you were working for larger companies for their social media marketing.
Yeah, so when I first came home to work full-time in 2014, I came home to work for an SEO firm or an agency that was establishing a social media department. So I came on as the manager and I hired people, I trained them and turned them loose on the clients. 9 months later, what happened with that company was they were still in the red on their social media stuff. So they decided that they wanted me to fire the staff that I hired and trained and do it all myself. And I wasn't willing to do that, not because I didn't want to do all the work myself, but because here were these people that I'd hired and trained that, were dependent on this job, and they were asking me to basically get rid of all of them. And I wasn't willing to do that. So how about if I leave, you can keep one or two of these people that want to stay with your jerk ass, pardon my French, and, I'll just move on with my life and figure it out. I wasn't, because if they're going to make me the henchman, eventually there's going to be a henchman that would come after me too. I just wasn't, that's not why I came home to work. That was more what I was trying to avoid. So, prior to that, since back as far as like 2006, once I figured out the internet was something that you could use to make money through marketing and things like that, blogging, all that stuff, I just kind of dabbled on my own. That's how I figured out how to do things. I've Googled my way through everything. I Googled my way through learning WordPress, through learning self-publishing, through figuring out, if I don't know something, I Google it and I find somewhere that's going to tell me how to do it. And if it's not on Google, it's on YouTube and vice versa. So I figure out how to do things.
It's very interesting. You're so resourceful with whatever you have. I've always noticed, like, for instance, since day one, I will ask you to do something or request something of you, and you won't ever say, I can't do that. You're typically like, 10-4, got it under control, and you'll go ahead and take care of it. It's just absolutely amazing what you do to find some of the stuff. So you just kind of Google your way through it. Like, walk me through that process, because I think a lot of people really take that far too lightly. Like, they're like thinking you're trying to make fun of them, but you're actually being truthful when you say Google it.
Absolutely. So here's a recent example. So I recently became aware of a platform called Telegram, and it's basically a messaging platform. And I think like Twitter might own it, or some people from Twitter started it or something like that. And I wanted to figure out how to set up a bot on Telegram to post to my Telegram channel for me, because who doesn't love automation, right? And so I Googled that. I was like, how do I do this? What steps do I need? Basically, I just Google and I change my phrasing until what I'm looking for pops up. So the first time I put in a search, it may not, pop right up with, here's how you do it, Ava. It might take me, a couple times to tweak my search query, but I'm going to figure it out. If it's out there on the internet, if somebody has documented how to do it, I'm going to figure it out. I have kind of a don't give up attitude about it. Like, if it's something I want to do bad enough, I'm gonna figure it out.
So is that how you kind of fell into the whole social media marketing, or did you go to school for something like that?
Well, I went to school for graphic design, but I'm kind of crappy at it, as you know. I don't have the best eye for design. Like, I can draw anything I can see, like pencil to paper, but when it comes to doing weird stuff through the computer, I mean, I can do it, but it's just not that great. It's okay. It's passable. But that's what I went to school for. But with the social media thing, some crap happened at my job, and I was like, man, I am so done with you people. And I came home and I started looking for work online, and that's when I found the SEO company thing, and they trained me on the social media stuff.
Nice. Was there any tidbits that you learned in that time that you still apply today?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, for sure. Especially like with social media stuff, because there's some things, like I said earlier, it's constantly changing, but there's some things that don't change. Like, very rarely are you going to post anything on social media that doesn't include some type of image, because we all know that when you post content with an image, it's more likely going to engage your audience. There's little things like that I definitely still use, for sure.
So with social media marketing, is this something that you recommend all authors do? If so, what is an avenue that you think is best for authors?
I definitely think authors should look into social media, because it's free. It's basically free advertising if you do it right. But the one caution that I have in that area is, don't have the be everywhere mentality. You don't have to be on every social media platform known to man. Start with one, master it, get your audience engaged on there, get your content plan figured out, what you can manage. Because if you're trying to be everywhere, you're going to burn out, and you're going to be nowhere, basically. You can't, nobody can be everywhere. Being everywhere is for people that have a big staff. Start with what you can do on your own and master that, and then once you get that going well, then decide if you want to expand, or if you just want to put that extra energy right back into what you're already doing. With other brand kits, what I do with them is Facebook and Twitter. Because pretty much everybody should be on Facebook and Twitter if they're trying to do anything online, I think. Those are the two because, pretty much everybody's already on Facebook. It's like the third largest audience after Google search and YouTube. So everybody's already there. They know how it works. And then with Twitter, It's just a good platform for writers.
Good. Great recommendations so far. I think a lot of people might look over and see the Self-Publishing with Dale brand almost everywhere. Because, I mean, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, so much. Share with people why they shouldn't look at me as the blueprint.
Because you're doing a lot more than writing books.
Okay.
If your focus is on being an author and that being your business, you need to keep that focus narrow. You know, when you're publishing a book, sure, go wide, but when you're doing social media, stay targeted, stay focused on one area until you've got it. Because otherwise, if you try to be all these places, every platform is for a different purpose. For example, Instagram is very visual. It's for pictures. As authors, I don't create a lot of pictures. So there's really no reason for me to be on Instagram, because what am I going to post, once a year when my new book cover comes out or whatever, unless you're willing to create special content for Instagram where you're pulling quotes from your book and you're creating. But if you're not willing to create that content, don't go there.
Makes a lot of sense, for sure. I think I know when I started in the business, I used to look at my mentors that were really killing it in the business, and they would say, you've got to have a team of virtual assistants. You got to have social media reach everywhere and anywhere. And so you're looking at them as a blueprint and you're thinking, oh, I've got to do that. But I think what you're telling people is don't do what Dale does because it's a completely different model than what you have.
What I'm telling people to do is start where you are with what you have. Don't look at, here's the thing. So when you're creating a brand and people are starting to jump on and follow you because they do that because they like you, because they like what you're doing. They don't want, once they get in there and they've subscribed to your email list and they're following you on social media and all this stuff, they don't want to see the same crap every other person is doing. They want something fresh, something, that grabs their attention, not just the same, here, let me cram you into my sales funnel and my email list and just, here's my particular brand of garbage. Have fun. Who wants that? So, I mean, I think that's where it comes in, where we've done kind of a different approach with your email and your social media, where we gear it to where it's something we feel like we'd want to be subscribed to ourselves rather than just a garbage generator.
So you're not just simply posting across social media just for the sake of posting. There's some type of purpose behind it.
Absolutely. Not only are you trying to engage your people, you want to engage your following, but you want to engage them with something that's valuable to them. If you're not providing them value, you're not going to get the value back. It's that simple. Nobody wants to just be in your garbage generator. Nobody, the same crap everybody else is saying and doing. They want fresh stuff. They want tips. They want actions that they can take to sell more books. That's what we're here for. We want to sell more books.
Yeah. I think it was a long time ago, you and I were in a Facebook group, and there was a gentleman there that was constantly posting his free ebook stuff. And when someone called him on it, like, hey, deliver value, he was like, but I'm giving my book away for free. Why is that mentality and that mindset standing in complete contradiction to what you're saying?
Well, because he's giving away his book for free, but you still have to open it. You still have to, there's a lot of steps you have to take to get the value. Whereas if you offer the value up front, the first thing they see is the value. The first thing they see is the actionable tip that they can put to use right now. They can turn away from this email, this piece of social media, go right over to KDP, their social media, whatever, and put it into play the next minute after they get. They're not, opening a PDF, scrolling through the table of contents, trying to figure out where the good stuff is, because, man, you talk a lot about yourself and all this fluff at the beginning of your book, and I don't care about that,
Makes sense. So from a standpoint of an author who's just trying to attack social media, they're not really sure what to post. Can you give some good steps or some way to grease the creative wheels?
Hooks. Create hooks. You want to create content that's going to reach out and grab somebody's attention. So if your audience is Werebear Shapeshifter Romance, to use a classic Dale example, okay, you're not going to engage those people with, I don't know, here's my how-to book on how to build my email list or whatever, You want to reach out with something that's going to interest those people. Here's Bob in his diaper. I don't know what these people write about in these weird romance books, but,
Right.
Give them a little bit of whatever that is. Right in your post. Like, don't hide all the good stuff in your book, and behind everything else. Put it out there. Hook them with something. When you consider what you're interested in, I don't know about you, but I have a lot of interest. I mean, it gets ridiculous. I like to craft. I like to draw. I like to paint. I like, it gets dumb real quick. But, I want to see something that I'm interested in. I want to see, here's this product. Here's this great pen that writes really great, and you can write faster because it writes good, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, give me something up front that's going to interest me, and then start with the deeper stuff. Make a hook, and put your most simple grabber out there, whatever that is. For example, create a hook, and an example would be, if I am going to talk about email marketing, say I'm going to teach authors how to get started in email marketing, and I want to hook them on that concept.
Okay.
Then I'm going to say, get started at no cost to you. Your first 1,000 subscribers aren't going to cost you anything. That'll give you the room to build a list and start generating a revenue stream from that list before you even have to pay for your email marketing platform. So get started free. Use a free platform like MailChimp or MailerLite, which is my favorite. Get started there. It's free to start. So it doesn't cost you anything up front. That's my hook. It's free to get started. Go create your account. That's my call to action. And then once they're into that, then I'm going to start throwing out the deeper stuff. Here's what you need to be posting. So going back to your social media example, what should authors be posting on social media? The first thing you want to post is a hook. What's the most interesting thing in your book? Like what's a really good line of prose you wrote for your whatever genre you write for? What's a piece that you're really proud of that'll fit in a social media post? I'm not talking about a chapter. I'm talking about some quotes, and just say, put it out there and then say, hey, this is for my book. It's titled this. If you want to sample what I can do, here's my lead magnet. Subscribe to my email list. And look, figure out as an author what type of content you're going to release to your audience. If you write, it's easier with nonfiction. Nonfiction, it's all kinds of stuff, tools and all kinds of stuff that you can release. But if you write fiction, it gets a little more complicated. So you need to figure out what it is. You need to come up with a content plan and then start. And your first pieces of your content plan need to be those hooks, the things that you're really proud of, the things you feel like are going to hook people, make them want to read more. What have you got that's going to make them want to read more? and then go from there. And look, if you're doing a quarterly email out, great. Don't try to do a weekly newsletter if you don't have weekly content to share. Don't try to do a monthly newsletter if you don't have monthly content to share. Do what you can do. Start there, and if things take off, you can always, up your frequency at that point.
Great tips. Boy, we've burnt through our time really, really fast, Ava, and I like to finish out every podcast with something that I ask everybody, and that is, what advice do you have for aspiring self-publishers and authors?
Something I already said, start where you are with what you have. Don't listen to anybody that's saying you need this, and this, and it's $1 million. They're lying. It doesn't cost anything to self-publish. You can do it yourself to start. You can, and look, this is controversial. You can edit yourself. Do I recommend it? Not necessarily, but if it's between you getting your story out and paying an editor, figure out the best way to do it yourself as thoroughly as possible and get your story out and go from there. Because, in my experience, so many times people have really important stories to tell, and they're being told not to tell them because they're not professionally edited or whatever. So start where you are with what you have and run with it, and don't let anybody tell you what you have to have, and don't let anybody tell you can't do it.
You've been listening to the Self-Publishing with Dale podcast. Visit us at selfpublishingwithdale.com for more information on how you can level up your self-publishing business. Also, check out our growing video-on-demand service, chock full of free and premium content, when you head over to theselfpublishinghub.com. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on your preferred podcasting platform. We thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.